Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some lumberjacks, and we need you wood. Yeah, we going for the sweet, then we mop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up, 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 chop it up. We put it all on the block, and then we chop it up.
Well, we're a little bit late, but this is the Chop and Block podcast presented by DJ's Clam Shack here in beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. And man, it was a day. It was a fast-paced day. We got destroyed by a wave of people. But tomorrow, I am on the way home. I've had Georgia on my mind. Ray Charles used to say that, and I really feel it. So can't wait to be back home for Thanksgiving week. But this week in college football, we're live on TikTok as well. We're going to start the show off, and we wish Craig was here, to pick at an Auburn fan on the show here, one of our analysts. But New Mexico State, and you call yourself a War Eagle. Auburn, what in the world is going on? Are they looking ahead to Alabama, which is this weekend? We can't wait for that. You guys weigh in. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate I missed last week. Craig's pretentious Auburn self came in here talking about how Hugh Freeze was kind of sneaking up on everybody, stealing some recruits, how Alabama was going to be challenged, all this garbage. And look, man, we all watched this game. New Mexico State looked like the 26-point favorite in the game. It wasn't a fluke win. They dominated Auburn on both lines of scrimmage. They outcoached Auburn in Auburn. So that whole Jordan Hare crap, voodoo, it's just, it is what it is. Auburn, we all were sold fool's gold for 3 weeks with this SEC 3-game win streak Auburn had. They literally played the absolute worst teams in the SEC other than themselves. And, they went 3-0 against crap teams that New Mexico State would just obliterate them as well. So, Auburn, I don't know what else you could say. I mean, they got 21-point victory, 200. New Mexico State had 200 more yards total in offense. They held the ball 3 times longer than Auburn did. It was just a total crap show.
I agree that it was ugly. Dylan, what do you got to say about this game?
I didn't watch a single second of this game. I'm glad I didn't, because I'd have probably been pissed off the whole time. Because as a Georgia fan, I want Auburn to be good, and I want them to make it a physical Iron Bowl before they come to Atlanta. But from what I hear, they just got whipped up front on both sides. And from what I hear, the score could have been way worse. What I'm going to, and I know it's wrong, but what I'm going to buy into and I'm going to believe is that this is a full-on chess play by Hugh Freeze and Auburn. They're lulling Bama right here. They're letting them think, oh, hell, New Mexico State just did this to them. We're going to skip. We're just going to watch Georgia film all week. And then Hugh Freeze comes out and tries to give them a game. That's what I'm going to believe. Probably not true, but I'm there.
Well, before this game happened, Dylan, I thought maybe you could have been right, but I don't know. I'll give you my statement later. Two-turn. We already know two-turn, what you got to say. But go ahead.
I'm about to jump all on this shit because I've been saying this with y'all all year. Every time we hear this shit, and it's only when Craig's in here talking about, oh, yeah, Auburn's a sleep team. They going to do this. They going to do that. Dude, they ain't going to do a damn thing. They've been shit from the start of the season. And they went from regular shit to runny diarrhea to this point of the season. It just melted down and became worse sewer juice. It makes no sense, dude. You got legitimately a freshman caliber JV quarterback in Peyton Thorne. The dude was ass at Michigan State. He became worse when he came to Auburn, just like most quarterbacks. They go there to die, and they leave, and they get better. I don't know what y'all watched. I know we believe in Hugh Freeze because of what he did at Ole Miss. But I don't know what y'all watched this year that wasn't different than what Auburn did in this game, outside of the fact that a team said, you know what, we're going to make you pass the ball to beat us because you can't. When your quarterback has 17 rush attempts and he's white, that's a problem.
Well, look, man, Hugh Freeze. Let's be honest with ourselves. He was innovative back in 2010. He's not. Every team in the SEC is doing what he does, and every team in the SEC is allowed to buy the best team possible now.
Well,
and that's all he was.
I mean, I believe Hugh Freeze is a great offensive mind. And I believe with the right players, he will do the same thing he done at Ole Miss and Liberty at Auburn. But I don't think he's ever going to get a chance to get those. He might get a couple, but he's not going to get a full-blown team like he did at Ole Miss, where he just lucked up a few times. And like I said, Auburn's terrible. They're terrible. They're garbage. And Jordan Hare, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to beat them at home. Well, New Mexico just proved that shit wrong this year. They might have been wrong historically, but this year New Mexico walked in there and they let that thing swing until they were stepping on it with their cleats.
Yeah, and I'm sick of the excuse already. Well, they were looking ahead to Alabama, brother. I don't care. You don't lose to New Mexico State 21-0, no matter how far ahead you're looking.
It's not even just that, dude. Like, and I've said, look, I will agree on this. Hangover wins are a thing. They beat Arkansas, beat the shit out of them, and you know they probably got happy because that's the biggest win they probably had in 10 years. It's probably the largest margin of victory they've had in 10 years. So they got happy. And then they came out, and you see what happened. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better school. I mean, it's about time to start mowing the grass at the cow pasture.
Well, Tony, I'm just going to say something for your sake. You better hope Auburn don't make this a game. But let's be honest, fellas. Let's be honest. These Alabama boys, when they have a close game, we don't see them on the chopping block the next week. They go somewhere. Maybe it's back to Alabama. I don't know.
That's a lie.
But it's the truth. And our executive producer, BC
every show unless I had to coach a game, and I can't do nothing about it.
Hey,
I was here the next week
all
after
we know
Texas.
is who is present and who is absent, and what happened the week before that show.
I'd rather miss a show after a close win than sit here and hear y'all after the Texas loss like I had to.
Well, that's okay.
What you said is true. What you said is true.
All right, well, let's throw it to something maybe we all can agree on here for once. The coach of the year. Who is that going to be? We have a list here dating back to, 1998. So who should be the coach of the year and why? Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I'm going with Nick Saban, man. I mean, it's the turnaround Alabama's had from game 2 to now. It's crazy. I mean, they basically changed the entire offense to fit Jalen Milroe, and it's been nothing but a success. Our offense doesn't look anywhere near what it used to. We've got receivers getting wide open now, and they're actually getting a chance to show how talented they are. So, in our defense, Nick Saban made good hires this year and brought in a defense coordinator that's got us back to hurting people. And I don't care. I'm old school football. I love to see our linebackers pound someone. I don't care if it knocks them out the rest of the year. It's football. So,
Well, I'm not shocked.
Did you just say Nick Saban for coach of the year?
I'm not shocked.
I did. I did.
Dude.
Kevin, hey,
you are over there, but come on. Okay. Okay, let's just say this. Let's just say that's your honest opinion. Give us at least another one that you think might still be on there. Let's just do it like that.
Another one who I think.
If not Nick, who else?
I mean, I don't really know. There's not really one more deserving than Nick. That's just my honest opinion. The guy out in Oregon. I don't really know. Jim Harbaugh. We gonna throw him out there. That was actually the leading candidate this year before all that cheating stuff came out. So Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have any problem if Kirby wins back-to-back national titles and he wins the coach of the year. I got no issue with it. But Nick Saban's won 6 national titles and didn't win a coach of the year in one, so I think he's due.
Well, at least I'll agree with the second half of your answer there. Dylan, Who do you got to say? Are you going to be a homer just like Kevin? It's okay if you are this time.
I should be, but look, this award isn't for who the best coach is. Because if it was, it'd be Kirby, it'd be Nick, it'd be Dan Lanning. This award is for which coach exceeded expectations. That's essentially what this is. And to me, if you're talking about nationally, I'd go with Jeff Brom at Louisville. I mean, hell, they ain't gonna get in the playoff even if they win out. But if they go 12-1 this year, I mean, come on, you couldn't have done better. That's what he's done there has been amazing. You can also talk about Jed Fish out of Arizona and how they've just decided to just start blowing everybody out.
And not to mention, they lost to Mississippi State.
Well, there you go. But if we're talking SEC, to me, it's Eli Drinkwitz. I know TJ hates him because his horse teeth, but
that dude can't even speak without his teeth sticking out of his head.
He coaches football apparently.
He does. He can build a physical program, and that's why I think he's here to stay. Is because his team is physical on both sides of the ball. They run the ball and they stop the run. So I mean, he can throw his hat in there for Coach of the Year.
He stands on business.
He does stand on business.
Yeah. What do y'all think about that real quick, about the stand on business thing? I mean, is that just about –
I think Josh Heupel deserves anything that anyone says to him, that fat, sorry sack of crap. I can't stand him. He ran his mouth about too many programs, and he's getting every bit of karma right now.
Shouldn't have ran it up 60 on everybody last year.
I was about to say, I think it has more to do with that. I really do.
It's a lot of people off.
But he's got
Tony,
tags off the back of his kneecaps.
Coach of the Year.
Mine's Norvell from Florida State. I mean, I don't know how he's not. Nobody, not one national media person picked Florida State to beat LSU game one. Nobody did. Everybody picked LSU. Everybody was talking crap in the first half. LSU's about to blow them out with just how the game was going. And what does Florida State do? They come out and they absolutely smack LSU in the second half. They start winning. You know, they don't look great at times, but they find a way to win every single time. Did anybody else know who that receiver was before this year?
Keon Coleman.
Did anyone know who Keon Coleman was before this year? Because
He was good.
Yeah, he's a stud last year.
Now he's arguably I'd say he's top 3 receiver in the country.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though I don't think Florida State's going to make the playoff anymore, I still think he deserves Coach of the Year because people don't realize how bad of a crap hole Jimbo Fisher left Florida State. And then also having to follow Willie Taggart. I mean, to turn that program around that fast, you deserve some kind of recognition.
Yeah, I'm glad you said him because I really think he's not going to get any credit. You know, it's almost like this season's over, and that's what kind of sucks. But we'll talk more about Florida State. Somebody we need to talk about that we've talked about quite a bit on this show this season. He says, put some respect on my name. What do you got to say about Jalen Milroe? And I know we got some homers in here. So that's okay. Hey, we got to have y'all on this show. And, you know, me and Dylan, we've had our chance to say what we want to say about Georgia, which is the truth. But, Kevin, Jalen Milroe, somebody who, you know, how have you felt about Jalen Milroe this year?
I felt good about Jalen all year long. I said it even after the Texas loss. I mean, I think he was the best quarterback Alabama had at the time. I think they were trying, and that's already been, you know, they've already come out and said it. They were trying to fit Jalen Milroe into be the Bryce Young, that type of quarterback in that system. And that's not him. You know, that I was praying that they would make the offense towards his strength instead of his weaknesses. And they have, and he's actually improved. If you watch him from game one to now, he's consistently hitting those 10 to 20-yard passes in the middle of the field to the sidelines. He's always had a good deep ball. He's making quicker decisions to run the ball when it's time to run. They're giving him more design runs. He's actually a semifinalist for the Davy O'Brien. He's not going to win it, but, you know, if I'd have asked y'all after the Texas game, And then when he didn't even get to start in the South Florida game, if he was going to be on any semifinals for quarterback of the year, everybody would have laughed. And I wouldn't have believed it at that time too. But I mean, I love the kid. I love his interviews after the game. He's a happy guy. He just seems like a really down to earth guy, and he's actually quickly becoming one of my favorite Alabama players ever. So I love the guy. But now, when it comes to the SEC championship game, I think he's going to have to prove that he can win that big of a game for me to truly buy into all the hype that he's getting.
Hold on. So you telling me that this guy is going to surpass the beloved Tua?
I said he was one of my favorite players. Tua is definitely my favorite Alabama player ever. But I mean, Jalen is he's proven to be everything. As far I don't care about the state. He's a totally different quarterback than Tua, but just his personality, and he just seems like a down to earth guy, and he's obviously putting in the work. You can't improve that much without being a hard worker.
Well, let me say this right here, because I'm gonna give the Georgia Bulldog boys a little pushback, because I've heard, even after the last few weeks, I've heard them say all he got is the deep ball. That's not true anymore. And I've said that a couple of times. I know y'all think I don't like Alabama like that, but I try to be unbiased. Let me tell you this right here. The boy has been throwing the ball well. He has improved on the intermediate stuff. And he does have a great personality. He seems to be very fun. He seems to be working hard and taking the instructions. I still obviously have some concerns about him, but over the last few weeks, I don't see how anybody can say that he really hasn't improved and did what he needs to do to get the job done. Now, I still question whether or not he's played against a defense like he's going to have to play against in Georgia. Now, if he beats Georgia, I think everybody got to put some respect on his name. And also, I think if he beats Georgia, I don't see how Alabama is not the favorite to win the Natty. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say he has. I mean, obviously, I want him to beat Georgia, but I mean, as long as he plays well enough to not lose, if we get beat by Georgia just because, Georgia does. I mean, Georgia's hard. I mean, if you ask me right now, I would say Georgia should be a 3 to 7 point favorite, because talent for talent up and down the roster, there's no difference in coaching. The only difference is when I watch Georgia, I feel like they rarely make the stupid mistakes that set Alabama back behind the chains on 3rd and 11s and 3rd and 10s and stuff like that. Procedural penalties, false starts, bad snaps, just stuff that just can kill a drive. Rarely see Georgia do that. And that's what scares me.
Yeah, my take on this is obviously he is so much more improved. And, I still think, too, a lot that we're not looking into it is he is making some throws now with people in his face, getting hit. But I think what it goes to show, the most important thing is, I mean, we talked about it early on this season, but it seems like Alabama's biggest weakness on offense is their offensive line. And a lot of the times Milroe looks bad is because of his offensive line. And I don't think everybody can say what they want, but I do not think that Alabama has like a top elite receiver. I just don't think they do. It's not, I mean, we've been so spoiled watching them play receiver for the past, almost 10 years to where it's like they don't have that guy this year to where I feel that Milroe has just somebody he can go to.
But see, that's the beautiful thing. I think we have 4 very, very good receivers. We don't need one Tyreek Hill. I mean, Jalen Milroe's hitting 7 or 8 different receivers every game.
And we have a
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. But I just don't. What I'm saying is, I mean, let's be honest. You haven't played a defense like Georgia's. In Georgia, they haven't played a defense like Alabama's. So it's like this game right here.
Played offense, but not as versatile as Alabama
this game right here, to me, just going off Facebook, and I'm not talking about you guys, but when you watch a game that Alabama plays in, they're the same as like these Georgia fans. It's like, if Milroe comes to the SEC championship game and has a bad first quarter, second quarter, they're going to be calling to put somebody else in. And it's the same thing on the Georgia sideline. And it's like, I think this game is more of that way for Milroe. Like, I think the pressure could get a whole lot worse if he does struggle early. But if they make a play call, to suit himself, like you said, Kevin, I mean, he's going to do well. I would be shocked. I think everybody would be shocked if Georgia just went in there and dominated and, beat Alabama by 21, 28 points. It just ain't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Look, I'll tell any Alabama fan to their face if they watch the South Florida game and they put anybody in but Miro for whatever reason, they're morons. We all seen what our backups look like.
100%.
And Miro is so far above everybody else. You either get blown out with Miro or you win with Miro. Period.
I disagree with that.
Kevin, I'm glad you said that. We'll let Tony get to his parts in here in a second. But just like you said, I was thinking the same thing. I think this is not a year that you can take one out and put one in. I think once you do that, you've conceded the game. This is not a Jalen and Tua situation. You got one quarterback.
And look, yeah,
it is one thing last year right here.
And it's not a talent thing. I'm saying. I mean, look, Ty Simpson's got talent, but that team does not play as good for Ty Simpson as they do for Jalen Milroe.
And you can't. And I don't think you can bench a player twice like that without it being destroyed.
No.
That would be a
listen. I think you're missing the whole.
Milroe's not getting benched unless he gets hurt. That's not why he's getting benched.
Right.
Here's my last point to what Dalton was saying. Dalton, you said that these teams, pretty much, this is what I said, I think the last show, these teams seem to be so much alike, Georgia and Alabama.
Mm-hmm. But different at the same time.
Yeah, but the reason I say that, the key of these games to me is going to come down to coaching and the defensive line play. We got to also say what happens if Alabama gets pressure on Beck. What's going to happen then? That's why I think it's going to come down to this.
Yeah, because Beck's barely been touched the whole season. He's been sacked 8 times the whole year.
Right.
Well,
right.
I mean, let's be honest.
Kentucky.
He's got one of the best offensive lines in the country. I mean,
I agree.
It's not like they're just not getting – like here's what I think the whole key to the game, and then we're going to move on because we got a game to talk about before this game happens.
I still got to go.
I got to go.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, one thing is I feel like the biggest thing with this whole matchup, it is the fact that Alabama's offensive line has struggled. We all know that. That's probably their biggest weakness on the team. They're going to see the best defensive line that they've seen all year.
No.
As a group, Georgia is the best they've seen.
Not D-line.
And the best defense by far.
Defense, yes, not D-line. Georgia's pass rush has not been good this year.
My thing is, I do not see, we talk about a clean pocket. I don't think that Beck's going to have that much trouble. And when he does seem to be agile enough to pick up a first down on the run. And I think that's going to be huge in the game.
Well, the differential in the sacks, it is because Georgia's offensive line is that good. But a lot of it is how intelligent Carson Beck is. And that's not me just blowing smoke. Kirby literally said he's the smartest quarterback I've ever been.
Look at his head.
He knows how to get the ball out. He knows where his check down is. He knows all of that. That coupled with our O-line is that good. That's why I think the sack numbers are low. But anyway, on Milroe, as a dude, yeah, you can't get any better. Like if you're asking who you want to lead your squad, yeah, give me Jalen Milroe. I want a guy who every time he gets done with his interview, he's Roll Tide. Like I'm all about that. I'm all about dudes like that. But he is by far the most improved quarterback in the country. It's funny how Jalen Milroe got good when the offensive staff let him be Jalen Milroe. They stopped trying to make him be somebody else, and they let him be who he is, which is what we all said. I guess you ain't got to be a rocket scientist to be a coordinator. Let him be Jalen Milroe, and they did. And he's growing every week and getting better. His decision making's getting better. I still have yet to see him. I don't think if you force him to sit in the pocket and you collapse the pocket and he has to make leveled throws, like NFL type throws that we see Carson Beck make week in and week out, I think that's where you can beat him. But also you can combat that by saying he's not going to sit in the pocket. He can take off and run. And if you're not there, he's going to run for 80 and go for a touchdown. That's why he's the ultimate X factor. You don't know. Like, the goal is to make him sit in that pocket, but you can't. He's too good. So you just got to tackle in space, and hopefully we can.
All right. Well, my thing is what I've been trying to tell Bama fans and other fans this whole freaking time. When that Milroe played Texas, it was literally his third career start. You cannot develop if you're not in the game. I understand you can develop against scout team guys, but at the end of the day, you don't know how somebody's going to play until they get in a real game. And he's had to develop. I mean, I said it from the get-go. I said he is going to get better as the year goes on. I don't think he's ever going to be just an elite passer like we're saying about Carson Beck's the type of quarterback to where it doesn't even matter if the throw's open. He's going to take his chance and trust himself to hit that window. Sometimes it doesn't work. Most of the time it does. Milroe's not that kind of quarterback to where he's going to try to force a throw into a window between three guys and, trust his receiver to catch the ball. He's not going to do that. He's never had to do that. He's just not the quarterback to do that right now. But you got to think, the guy's a sophomore. This is his first career you're starting. He's going to be back next year. Dude's already this year, after not starting a game, he is 8th all time for a single season in touchdowns in Alabama history right now. He's got 31 total touchdowns right now with 3 games left. So he has every bit of a chance to be top 4 or top 3. He's got the third most touchdowns in a season is 42 by Mac Jones. That's the third most. Milroe could easily get 11 touchdowns in 3 games. That's not something that he cannot do. But my thing is, if you watch the games, like especially lately, and I want to touch on what Dalton said, yes, our line has been our problem most of the year. But starting when they took Dalcourt out and they finally put Jaden Roberts in the game, our run game's picked up. Our pass protection has been great. We have protected Milroe great the past 3 to 5 weeks. And also, the biggest thing from me watching him, just evaluating the quarterback, his problem, he was sacked a lot, but there was also times where the majority of the times early in the season, he was just sitting back there waiting, right? And then by the time he finally decided to take off, it was too late. Or he wanted to prove he could pass the ball. Now, if you watch, he's getting the ball out pretty damn quick. He's not sitting back there like he's hitting these intermediate throws. He's hitting guys when they're making their cuts on routes, and he's hitting guys in stride on the deep ball. Like he's not just a deep ball guy now, and he's actually starting to read defenses a little bit. Obviously, I don't think he's an elite guy where he's just going to pre-snap and just know where he's going to throw the ball right then. He's not that level yet, and I don't think he's going to get that level this year. But if he continues getting the ball out quick and hitting these open guys, I mean, I don't see how you can stop the offense because, like I said, once they start covering that up and he decides to take off, you better have something set when he takes off or he's going to get a lot on you. But touch on the Georgia game, that's been Georgia's issue on defense. Their secondary is great. Their linebackers are great. They don't have a great pass rush this year. Now, they got a guy, what's his name, 13. He's a dude. He's going to be a great pass rusher. But as a team, the D-line, they're not great pass rushers. So if Milroe has time to sit back there and throw and decide, hey, look, that's not open, I'm about to take off running, that could present problems for Georgia's defense. Now, if they do get pressure on him, he holds the ball too long, maybe fumbles, makes a dumb pass. He hadn't done that lately, so I'm not trying to speak it into existence. But, I mean, I think this game's going to go really weird for both teams. I think the shit that we're expecting to happen is going to be complete opposite for both offenses. Like, I don't know why. I think it's just going to be completely different. It's going to be a weird game to me. Like, we're expecting this just great, dominant, physical, 2 teams just going at it. I feel like it's going to be really weird for the first 2 quarters.
It's going to come down to who don't turn that damn ball over.
Yeah.
That's what it will come down to.
But I mean, it's going to be a weird chess match through the first half, to see what Bobo's wanting to do, to see what Reese is going to do. And I think Tommy Reese deserves a lot of credit because, like I said, he finally adapted. The plays he's been designing, like the fake little toss sweep pulling up in the pass. I mean, that's something that's really damn hard to guard because you're faking an option with the quarterback also faking the sweep, and you're bringing the safeties in. Once that safety comes in, Milroe's beating you over the top. Safety don't come in, he's running it. It's just the line takes care of their job like they've been doing lately. I'm really impressed with our line. Like, obviously, they're not Georgia's level, and they're not what were hyped up to be at preseason, but I'm really satisfied with our line right now, especially Jaden Roberts. I think he's our second-best lineman right now, behind J.C. Latham.
Yeah, it's really turned around since Roberts come in.
The only thing that I guess that sticks out to me in my mind that you can't look past is, Alabama's best offensive performances, and especially in the last 6 weeks, have been against the worst defense they'll face all year.
One more thing I wanted to touch on, I meant to say, because you was talking about the receivers thing, and I'm with Kevin. That's a great thing. Like, we got a bunch of different receivers that all have different skill sets that it's just different. Like Kobe Prentice can beat you deep, but he's also a slot guy. You're just going to hit across the middle. He's going to get 15, 20, 30 yards. Burton can do it all. He's just going to get a penalty.
Y'all have learned. So now when one guy goes down, you got more.
I ain't worried about one. I mean, we ain't got 2,000-yard receivers this year. And that's what's crazy. People want to act like Milroe. They say Milroe's only doing good because he's got all this talent around him. Where's it at? Because our leading receiver's got 650 yards, and he's leading the SEC in yards per catch. But he really only has like 20 receptions, something like that. Burton's only got like 20, 25 receptions and got almost 700 yards. But people want to discredit Milroe when he's second in the country behind the Heisman Trophy favorite, Jaden Daniels, in yards per attempt. He leads the country in passes completed over 15 and 20 yards. He is the most efficient quarterback on third down in the country. So he's got to be doing something right. And this is where we do one of those. You take Jalen Milroe off this team, we're a 6 or 7 win team because of the line struggles throughout the year.
No.
Because
Nick Saban ain't no 6 win. No.
Now, if this is where I have the problem with, I don't agree with if Milroe went out, we wouldn't have a chance. If our line's playing the way it is now, because I still think Ty Simpson, when he's going to go somewhere, he's transferring. He's going to go somewhere. If he goes to the right place, he's going to be really good because he's been playing lately. And since we've been blocking, he's looked pretty good. He had an 80-yard touchdown last game, but, he's an idiot and dropped the ball at the goal line, so it didn't count.
He may wind up being as good as Max Johnson.
He's better than Max Johnson right now. I'm going to tell you that right now.
He might wind up in Auburn.
That's what I said. That's my worry. But Ty Simpson, if the reason why Milroe was just better in general for the team is because of the offensive line struggles. Ty Simpson can run, but he's not Jalen Milroe, and he can't squat 600 pounds and power clean 330. I mean, he's a passer, and he's got an NFL arm. So if we could block, if we had just a great line to start the season with Milroe's struggles early, I think Ty Simpson would have had the job locked up, and Milroe would have never got it back. But due to the line struggle and us having to stick with Milroe because of his ability to run, that's what separated it, in my opinion.
Well, let's take it to the Iron Bowl. And let's run through this one quick because we got a lot of rivalry matchups. And let's be honest, a lot more that are more anticipated in this one. But it's Alabama and Auburn. KD, start us off.
No, look, man, I know Auburn stunk it up terribly last week, but that's not going to be the same Auburn team that we go play. We are their Super Bowl, World Series, NBA championship. It's like that every year. It's Auburn. I think Nick Saban's lost to Auburn 4 times, 4 or 5 times in Jordan Hare in his career. And I think a lot of it, that's the good thing about Nick and the bad thing. I think the reason Alabama's so consistent because Nick preaches don't get too high, don't get too low, and I don't think we went into an Iron Bowl as excited to play in it as Auburn does every single year, and I think that's a little bit to do with our struggle. But I think it's going to be close for a couple quarters, and I think really the second half, Alabama's talent's just going to wear them down. And I just can't see how Auburn scores more than 14, 16 points in the game. Their offense just can't move the ball. So I'm thinking it's going to be around like 38-14, something like that, and it'll be competitive for a half.
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? I'm going to actually agree with you. This game kind of reminds me of the Georgia-Tennessee game we just watched. I was leaving work, and I seen Tennessee run 75 yards for a touchdown. And then I look at the time. I was like, must have been the first play of the game. I was like, we'll be okay. I think the same thing's going to happen here if we, it might. Auburn maybe scores early, big play. But like you said, Alabama's just got too much talent. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that Auburn pulls off this game. I don't even want to hear the Jordan-Hare crap. That only works sometimes, and it ain't gonna work this Saturday. I just got a feeling.
I
a lot
love
to play
Craig.
for with Alabama.
I love you, Craig. They hating on you, but I still love you, buddy. But you know what, guys? I agree. I don't think this game should not be close. This game should be Bama cruising. I mean, I kind of feel that way because they don't really have a good quarterback play. And without that, I just don't think you can do anything. Quarterback is kind of the key to everything.
And I agree, but there's this little devil in the back of my mind thinking back to how Auburn played Georgia. Now, I don't know why Georgia played so flat in that game. I don't know if I know Georgia didn't play well, and I know Auburn played way above their head. But that type of game is possible. I mean, I'm not saying there's a 0% chance, but
that's true. That's true.
It shouldn't happen. We should go in there and win convincingly.
I'm gonna tell you what
we argue all the time. We argue all the time that you never know what team's going to show up. I mean, it happens.
And I'm asking this. I'm not trying to make a point. Has Milroe played like a tough away game yet? Like if they had a.
I mean, A&M.
Okay, well, yeah, I count that. Yeah, but to me, Jordan-Hare only is going to come into play if Auburn gets up. If they get up, then Jordan-Hare will start rocking. But
yeah, or keeps it close.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The thing with Auburn, and I didn't watch last week, so I'm gonna act like it didn't happen. What I've seen every other week that I've watched Auburn play, their defense hits. And I think that's something you don't really want to play is a real physical defense when you have a running quarterback because you don't want him taking some real tough shots when he doesn't need to. So I think Alabama's going to just try to run down their throat and milk that clock, get this game over with as quick as they can. I'm with y'all. I think it'll be a one-score game, maybe a 13-score game at halftime, and then Alabama will probably pull away. But who knows, man?
You gotta hope.
Baby.
You gotta hope. One thing you gotta hope for, fellas, is no injuries.
That's exactly what I'm about to talk about, Barry. This is one of the things that it favors Alabama for the first time in a long time. So Nick's finally decided he's usually played chess over checkers, but this time he's really playing chess. So this is going to be the healthiest Alabama team going into week 12 Nick Saban's probably had in 10 years. Like, I can't remember an Iron Bowl that I wasn't scared to death of because we either had our starting linebacker out, we had 2 D linemen out, a corner, somebody that was a major part was out. Well, Nick Saban must have learned from his little bit of mistakes he does make because Deontay Lawson and Jalen Key, those are 2 major starters on our defense. Deontay Lawson is the captain of our defense at the linebacker spot. Jihad Campbell has done an amazing job of filling in his spot the past 3 weeks, and he will play a lot in the Iron Bowl. He plays a tremendous amount of snaps. But we have held him out the past 2 weeks to make sure he's 100% healthy. We have held Jalen Key out the past 2 weeks to make sure he is 100% healthy, while also building that depth with them guys that haven't been playing that much the past 2 weeks. And at Kentucky, those guys look good. So this is my take on the Iron Bowl. And I would not put it by us having, not the greatest day on offense, but, just a good game that, missed some shots and some things that we probably should have hit that we missed. But I'm telling you, I expect total domination from the Alabama defense this weekend. I expect Auburn to be fucking smothered. And I don't know if it's just the feeling because Alabama, how good Alabama's defense is. I think this is going to be those games. We know your quarterback can't throw. We are going to press cover your top two best receivers with Terry and Arnold and Kool-Aid and make your quarterback, who's not a throwing quarterback, try to make those NFL throws right in the breadbasket. And if he can't, you're not going to run the ball against us, and he's going to throw some interceptions. That's how I think this game is going to go. I don't think there's any chance of Auburn's offense getting crazy. You know, they might get a lucky play or something, you know, like they do a double, you know, some trickery or something. But I don't see it. I really think Alabama's defense, getting everybody back and being healthy, I think they're going to absolutely dominate this game. Alabama hasn't given up over 70 yards rushing to a starting running back this year. Not one time. The defense.
What I was saying is, we're looking at injuries a little bit different because
you're talking about going into the SEC championship, but I'm just talking about this game. Like,
I get you, and that's what I'm kind of concerned about with you guys, because just think about that. If Miro goes down, that's ugly.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's been pretty durable, so I'm not.
I know, but in a game like this, man, you don't ever know what's going to come out of it, because those guys going to pick themselves up. Yeah, they going to. You'd assume they play with some pride. It is. That's why we're discussing it. You just never know.
There ain't gonna be no clean hits. There ain't gonna be no clean hits. Auburn's
the first quarter. There's gonna be some damn hits both ways. Auburn's gonna come out physical. They're gonna play physical. But I'm just saying, our firepower on offense outweighs theirs. That's where I'm getting at with it. Auburn doesn't have any firepower on offense. They don't have any. They got a good running back. He's really good. But I think this is going to be one of those, you know, like when Leonard Fournette was at LSU that year, and he was the Heisman favorite, and everybody thought he's on, and Alabama just completely shut him down. We keyed in on the run, tried to make Brandon Harris throw the balls. Like Brandon Harris, like Peyton Thorne, couldn't throw for nothing. We're going to key in on that run and try to make him make those throws. Now, if he can make those throws, which this is the Iron Bowl, it tends to be that the worst quarterbacks play their best game against Alabama at the end of the year. He could have him a game, but that's what I don't like. I said, I'm not expecting just a phenomenal day on offense. If we do, I would love to have that going in the SEC championship. But I expect our defense to absolutely smother them this weekend.
I don't disagree with you. I think we would come on here next week and say, well, we knew it was going to happen. I don't think we're going to talk much about this game next week. That's just my opinion. There's a lot more to talk about. But we're going to send it to another one. The Sunshine Showdown. And I'll be blatantly honest. I'm a native Floridian, and I can't stand Tallahassee, and I can't stand Gainesville. They both stink. They don't have clean drinking water, and they should be ashamed of themselves, both of those cities. And one of those is I'm not even going to say the great capital of this state, but we'll say it's the capital of this great state. Tallahassee, I would not send – I wouldn't send my worst enemy down there. But, you know, we got to watch the game. That's just how it goes. But Florida State, down goes Jordan Travis. Snapped his leg off there at the 50-yard line. That was just – to me, that's a devastating loss. And we're going to talk about one scenario after we talk about this game, but does Florida have any chance? It's a backup quarterback for Florida State, but as you said, Tony, it's a backup quarterback for Florida. So what do you got to say, Kevin? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Florida's got a chance. I still think Florida State's going to beat them pretty good. You know, that when that backup for Florida State came in, I think his name's Roadmaker or something. He started off. He started off, you know, pretty slow, struggled, but he ended up throwing a couple touchdowns, 217 yards, I believe. And I still think Florida State's backup is better than Florida's. And Florida's coaching, I can't say anything good about that. So who knows what Florida team will show up.
I agree. I mean, Florida has outcoached herself in ball games this year so many times. I mean, you could argue that they did it again this past Saturday. I mean, the coaching staff. If we talked about it all year. Is Billy Napier on the hot seat or whatever? I mean, he just keeps working himself closer. I mean, I didn't expect him to be fired, but he might get fired. Dylan, what you got to say?
Well, I'm currently scrolling through a stat that I think is going to be very important in this game. You got two backup quarterbacks, so all right, well, who can run the ball and who can stop the run? Well, neither really, but Florida State is worse. Florida State is around 50th in stopping the run, and I scrolled all the way through 100. They're not even top 100 in running the ball. So, granted, I've never watched his backup quarterback, so I don't know if he can throw the thing around. He's got receivers. Hell, you can. I mean, Dalton, you could throw a jump ball to Coleman and throw a touchdown. But to me, in this type of situation, I'm gonna say, look, who can run the ball just a little bit better? And I think Florida's got two really good running backs. Now, will they block for them? Who knows? And Florida State, they're playing for a chance to make the playoff. Florida's playing for a chance to make the bowl. That's a big thing for them right now. If they don't make a bowl, I mean, that's awful. I know they weren't expected to win over 8 games this year, but damn, like, you got to make a bowl. And I don't know. I think there's implications for both teams. It's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be really, really close, and it's going to come down to a field goal late or something.
It's funny you said that about Florida State's run game. I truly think you could get further on Peloton than you could as a Florida State running back at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Tony, what do you got to say?
Well, I understand the backup for Florida State came in, did decent, but they also played Northern Alabama. So I didn't even heard of Northern Alabama besides a picture of their basketball school before this. I didn't even know they had a football team, and I'm not trying to talk crap. It's just real. Until I seen they were up 13-0 on Florida State. I still don't understand the Napier maybe being on the hot seat thing, because at the end of the day, Missouri's the 9th ranked team in the country. That game wasn't expected to be close at all, and he should have won it. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do as a head coach. You got 4th and 17 and your players don't execute. I don't know what you can do about that. It's just – but Florida State ain't got Brady Cook at quarterback that knows who he's trying to throw to at that point in time. That he knew from the minute he caught that ball who he was throwing to and where it was going. Florida State doesn't have that kind of guy. And like I said, Florida's been there and hadn't been able to win the games. Well, this is the biggest rivalry on their schedule. They're missing their quarterback, and it's in the swamp. I expect Florida to win this game. I expect Florida's defense to play pretty good in this game, maybe cause a turnover or two. Now, I do think it's going to be close, but I expect Florida to win this game, and it knocks Florida State out of the playoff. And if Jordan Travis was here, obviously, I'd pick Florida State. I had Florida State in my preseason playoff before the year. Like, if he wouldn't have got hurt, my prediction is damn near perfect lining up. But, he decided to Mr. Fantastic his foot around. I hope he recovers and does something with football. But I got Florida beating Florida State at home. In there.
One question for you, Tony. When that Thursday rolls around, Thanksgiving Turkey Day, are you really going to click that Florida Gator on that CBS Sports Pick'em? Or are you just doing this for the views? No.
I ain't like somebody that's going to say a team's going to win. It says a team's going to win and then make the opposite pick. I'm picking Florida on the look. I've rolled with my upset.
You are exactly like that. What are you talking about?
Every time I've said that I think an upset was going to happen, I've had some kahunas, and I picked. Now, I've had times I said I wanted to switch, and I didn't. But when I pick my upsets, I pick my upsets. They've either hurt me or they've helped me.
I was the only one to stand on Miami last week.
I didn't pick Miami.
I did.
But anyways, I'm picking Florida on that CBS Pick'em.
All right, you answered the question, and that leads me to believe
Hang on.
that 2 people will have swamp ass this weekend, and one of them's you, my friend, and the other is the Florida Gators because
Now,
the Florida State Seminoles are
and
going to
real
win
quick,
that
I'm
football
going to pick
game.
them, Tony. I'm with you. I'm going to pick Florida too because I do
3 swamp asses.
I do believe that Florida State is about to be knocked out of the playoff because they lost their best player. I do.
And real quick,
Well-
since we're talking bad about Tallahassee, there's only been one good thing ever come out of Tallahassee, and it's my wife in the other room.
I'm glad you didn't say Jameis Winston's crab leg stealing ass, but
He's from Alabama.
yeah, that's right. He is
he's
from
yeah.
Belsom. Hey, we'll leave Jameis out of this
Hey,
show. He
listen,
don't belong
listen,
here.
that was before NIL, so you got to get a man a little bit of a break.
Man, he could have got them crab legs
Oh.
for free. He didn't need no NIL.
Man,
He
that
just
dude,
said
yeah,
F-word
let's
and
be
the
honest.
T-word in front of the dang people in the college.
I'll never say a bad word
Yeah,
about Jameis Winston. I love
Jameis is
him.
goofy. We can all agree there. But hey, Kevin, did you go on this round? I think you did, right?
I did,
I'm
yeah.
going from the top. Okay, I've been trying to keep it all straight here. That brings us to one question before I go to the next slide. If
We're gonna have
is there
swamp ass,
any
we're gonna have Indian burn?
is there any possibility Florida State goes undefeated and don't make the playoff?
Yes.
It depends. It depends. It really is going to depend, in my opinion, on how well this backup quarterback plays and how this game right here goes.
Well, look, dude, and we had a shout out to Mike Norvell about being Coach of the Year. You got to win. I mean, you got a guy that can coach circles around Florida. I mean, he should have something in there. Florida State's going to win this game.
I'm with Barry. If Florida State wins a close game this weekend, like a close game over 5 or 6 wins? How many wins they got right now? 6? Florida, how many? Florida?
6, 7, something like that.
But if you struggle against a 6-win Florida team, and then you come out against Louisville and struggle again, like winning by single digits, I think they're out. I don't think they make it undefeated because it's another thing like they tried to say with Auburn. And
Who makes
No,
it?
they're not-
Who's your
they're not-
four then?
it depends on how it plays out. Like,
Let's
there's so
hear
many
it.
scenarios right now.
That's the question.
Like
Okay,
I think the one loss Georgia would get in over.
Yeah. So if Alabama was to beat Georgia, you got obviously the SEC champ and Alabama's in. If Washington's undefeated, they're in no matter what. I think if Oregon beats Washington and Oregon only has one loss going into that game, Oregon's in. And if Texas wins the Big 12, you have to put them in if Alabama's in. You have to. There's no way to keep Texas out if Alabama is in the playoff for beating Georgia. You have to put Texas in.
I don't think you can.
But
keep
see,
Texas
that's
out.
to me that's garbage. You don't look at you can't look at week 1 and say, okay.
I agree.
I know what you're saying. But I mean, logically, you're right. I mean, it would suck to be a Texas fan, but Alabama is a different team. If they play Texas next weekend, and the way Texas has currently been playing, Alabama beat them by 20 points. So
as a football fan, I think the criteria for the playoff is wrong in general. Head to head does matter. It should matter. But like we're saying, it's weird, man. It's like when Alabama beats a team, used to, or Georgia. Same thing, Alabama, Georgia. They beat a team that's supposed to be really good. And their season goes to absolute shit the rest of the year. They just go to shit. The team goes to shit.
the good news is
It's
the
not
playoffs expand. The playoffs expanding next year, so we don't have to have the same stupid conversation every single year.
Perfect example of why we needed it this year too. Because let's say this: let's say Alabama upsets Georgia, right? And Florida State is we're saying Florida State's undefeated, but we're assuming they're out. What if the loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game loses by a field goal?
Then kick them both out.
No, because the winners.
They both suck.
You got this one loss loser, and then you got the one loss loser that didn't make the conference championship, and then you got one loss Georgia, and now you're arguing between Georgia and that team that lost by a field goal. And in my opinion, Georgia should be in.
Yeah. How does Georgia get left out? Back-to-back champs.
Well, these committee people, for some reason, we still count Penn State as a good win. I don't understand. They fucking suck. I've said it from the get-go. I said it this year. I've said it 5 years ago. James Franklin is a big cocksucker. He can't stop choking. He sucks. He fucking sucks. He doesn't even know how to get in position to win the damn games. He's lost 4 steps on the field.
You're going to get a kick out. You're going to get a kick out for TikTok.
Dude, but no, I'll be more PG with it. But that conference is terrible. That is dude. I've said it a couple times already this year. They are hiding their terrible offensive play by saying we are a defensive conference. No, you're not. You just can't score. Iowa's about to win the other side of the conference, averaging 17 points per game.
They're not even averaging that. They're averaging 14.
Well, there you go. They've hit the under.
Well, have you noticed that CBS is really so they're playing this SEC go away party, but now they're also pumping up the Big Ten. And you literally heard the CBS crew on Saturday. Good. They said Iowa, with that defense, they could because they had just got a safety, right? And they said Iowa with that defense, they could win 2-0. And I'm like, y'all are literally crazy.
LSU would be Iowa 742-12.
Yep.
Hey, believe it or not, you might get that matchup.
Yeah, just look at it like this.
A lot of bowl matchups would fall that way.
You put Ohio State or Michigan against Georgia. Is either one of those teams got a shot at beating Georgia this year? No.
I don't think so.
It doesn't matter if Georgia lost this weekend and to the SEC championship game.
Look, Georgia would smoke. I truly only think there's 2 teams that could have a chance at beating Georgia.
Oregon and Alabama.
And I think it's Oregon and Alabama.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I think if Georgia beats Alabama, they're going to win a national championship again.
I think Florida State had a shot, but just because, dude, you can't. I mean, what do you do with 50-50 balls? If you throw it up to Keon Coleman, he has 3 touchdowns and beats you.
Florida State's good. I mean, it sucks that they're. I'm kind of disappointed, honestly.
Don't sleep on Washington and Michigan.
Washington would get pushed around. They'd get pushed around.
Yeah,
Michigan.
It'd be like Georgia TCU. They wouldn't be able to.
Michigan's style of play will never win anything. That offense is god awful. JJ McCarthy,
but it beats Ohio State. That's what's crazy.
Zach Menditz, if you're watching,
that's all they care about. That's all they want to do is beat Ohio State.
Zach Menditz, if you're watching this live, I want you to listen carefully. Your quarterback absolutely sucks. He is the check down king. Don't ever say a word about Jalen Milroe because JJ McCarthy sucks so bad. They ran the ball 37 straight times last week.
God. But is that his fault or is that just a good coaching move?
That's what you're supposed to do. If you can run it,
they didn't have to throw it, Tony.
I'm sorry, it was 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last week. Last week they should have lost. Their defense won them the game. That style of play that you have where you're trying to use your tight ends and that's it, faking power, you're not doing it. Dude, you're going to get your tight end decapitated across the middle against Georgia or Alabama. Bullard will put that Javon Bullard will put that guy on life support.
That style will never beat an SEC team.
No, dude.
No, I agree. It won't.
I got Ohio State in the natty. So what?
Yeah, I need some of that damn bourbon you got over there.
It's good.
Yeah, let me get a sip of it. That's got to be good for you to say this will call McAss over there at quarterback.
Yeah, that's my thing with Ohio State. Like last year, I'm not gonna lie, they were scary. Even though they lost to Michigan, you knew that they were scary with CJ Stroud.
Well, let's talk about that game.
Oh, well, Dylan, that's
let's talk
very
about
fond of you to say. Let me bring it on in here. It's the game since 1897. Are you kidding me?
Barry has been waiting 12 weeks for this.
And we all have because we talked about it in week 1, and I wish we could go back. We should have planned this a little bit earlier, but we had some guys from Alabama that really wanted this show to be pushed to Monday. But the video we could have had for this right here would be what you just said. We could bring it in appropriately, but it's Michigan, Ohio State. And Barry, we've been talking about it. I wish we could have showed week 1 when we said it would come down to this game, 2 undefeated teams. And we even talked about Ryan Day being lit up like the Christmas tree and fired if he loses this game. So the question I want to ask you boys, obviously well, let's talk about the game. Let's chop it up. Who do you have? What are the keys to the game? Who's going to win it? And when we talk about a winner, do we all still feel the same about Ryan Day? What do you feel about Jim Harbaugh on the new allegations? Kevin, start it off.
That's how I feel about the Michigan-Ohio State game every year, just like any other Big Ten game. The shit's boring.
Yep.
I don't like 3 yards in a cloud of dust football. That stuff was done in the 90s. It's a big game for those guys. I understand. They call it the game. It's always, it's propped up by ESPN and all these other media outlets. It's just boring football to me. I think Michigan's probably going to win it. I mean, they're better than a bad Ohio State team. Ohio State's quarterback is terrible. The only guy on Ohio State that I would even want on Alabama's team is Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'll add into that, Kevin. Travion Henderson is healthy. I would love to have him in Alabama's backfield. He's
okay. Now if he's healthy, I'd take him too. But
that guy's a monster.
Keep on talking. You're gonna have the whole team in Tuscaloosa.
But look, man. I mean, I'll give it to Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's a great coach, and I think that's why he's beaten Ryan Day, because he is a much better coach. Harbaugh has won at every level. He won at Stanford. I mean, he's just a great football coach.
They has never coached the NFL.
Right? And Bill Belichick cheated his way to how many Super Bowl wins? I mean, what's wrong with Harbaugh? So,
get away from it.
Love you, Steve.
Well, we already talked about a cheater in the pregame show, and but now we're talking about an accused cheater. Somebody that's been
proven.
Why don't y'all give Ryan Day any love, man?
I think Ryan Day would be a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's cut out to be a head coach.
I'll tell you why. Let me tell you my honest reasoning why I don't give Ryan Day love, Barry.
And guess what? He don't wear that helmet that Dalton had up on that slide. He ain't the one getting caught cheating, which I don't believe in cheating. I believe, if it ain't steroids or nothing like that, I don't care what they do to get information.
How good did C.J. Stroud make Ryan Day look? Look what C.J. Stroud's doing at Texas.
That's the problem. See, because if C.J. Stroud would have been in Alabama, y'all would have said Nick Saban got that boy.
Well, no, because I've seen Nick Saban win a national title with a car salesman. So that's not true.
Yeah, because you got every NFL player on every position.
Well, yeah, we're talking specifically quarterback, though. Quarterback's the most important position.
You cannot just say quarterback and not consider everything.
Okay, well, let's.
Ohio State has a bunch of NFL guys too.
We can consider everything else. Hold on. I got you. You ready? Nick Saban did take a team with nothing but 2 and 3 stars car salesmen to the SEC championship in 2008, and arguably could have beat 4. They blew it in the fourth quarter. They was up 10. Every player on the field at Alabama in 2008 was a car salesman. Outside of
but who won the championships back to back for the last 2 years? Have Nick taken off for the last 2 years?
What are we talking about? That's got nothing to do with the conversation.
It's got something to do with. If he's such a good coach, why he did nothing for the last 2 years?
I mean, you can't control getting beat at the last second, Barry. Shit happens.
That's what I'm saying. It got something to do with the players you had a Heisman Trophy.
Let me get back to Ryan Day.
You had a Heisman Trophy.
And Ohio State, Ryan Day, and Michigan, both of those teams have a one-game schedule every single year.
It's not just that. Look, this is
to
why
be honest, have Georgia and Alabama played a lot of people this year? Not really.
The SEC is the
but
best.
we can't just
football altogether.
No, here's my thing. Can we just all be honest before anybody else says anything? We can't look at it every year like, early 2000s, 90s, these teams that were just dumb. Like, let's just be honest. Sometimes the teams just ain't that good, and these other teams are. Like, I feel like you have to give Alabama credit for beating the LSU, a Tennessee,
at A&M.
I mean, I don't know about A&M. I mean, they're not that good.
I'm not saying they're not that they're not great, but their defense.
Ole Miss.
Let's put it this way: you put Texas A&M in the Big Ten side where Iowa is, they're playing Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten championship. Right or wrong?
I agree.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, Ole Miss will have as many NFL draft picks as Ohio State does this year, and Ole Miss is third, fourth best team in the West.
But let me do this. Let me put it this way, Barry. So There's two reasons. I'm going to go the first one where I don't give Ryan Day credit. He is still living off of Urban Meyer's recruiting classes. These players aren't his that he's recruiting. Hold on. He has not proven that he can recruit his own guys, implement his system, and win. If you look, the quarterback he has recruited that's on the team right now, he's ass. The backup is ass. He recruited Aaron Nolan, and I'm going to do like Dylan did because Dylan calls Julian Lewis Doo-Doo Lewis now because Reese Fountain outplayed him. Aaron Nolan threw 4 interceptions against Rome High School this past week, and Rome High School don't have 1 4-star on that defense. So I don't believe Aaron Nolan is going to do anything at Ohio State. I think he's missing a quarterback. He's not getting the. I mean, he's going to get an absolute monster of a receiver coming in. Jeremiah Smith, that dude's a stud.
He ain't going there.
He ain't going there?
Nope.
You think he's about to go somewhere else?
I think that boy headed to Tallahassee.
Ooh, if Ryan Day loses that, Barry, his whole recruiting class falls apart, and that's being honest. Second, when we're talking about these conferences, look, people can say we're homers all we want to, but this speaks for itself. I'm going to ask you individually. So for the Big Ten, Barry, how many teams from the Big Ten have won a national championship the past 20 years? How many teams? You're muted, Barry. You're muted, Barry.
I don't know the number, but we talked about this before.
Hey, I'm going to tell you the number. I'm going to tell you the number.
Maybe one.
It is one. There's been one team from the Big Ten win a national championship the last 20 years. From the Pac-12, how many from the last 20 years?
Just USC.
One. From the Big 12, how many?
Texas and Oklahoma.
Oklahoma hasn't won one in the last 20, have they?
Yeah, they were like 99.
Okay, so one. ACC, how many teams have won one? Two.
Listen.
Hold on. Let me get to my point real quick. I'm almost there, Barry.
Clemson, Florida State.
So Clemson, Florida, that's 2. Just since 2006, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, Auburn. 5 teams just since 2006 have won a national championship. And all those teams have played for multiple national championships. Multiple. So
but who played Georgia? Who played Georgia last year in the Natty?
That's because it's a 14 playoff.
No, but they played Georgia very well.
That who Ohio State? That's one game. But you got to understand.
So my point is, guys, I'm not saying that the SEC doesn't have a better talent. They probably benefit from being in the places that have the better talent. But what I'm saying is, we cannot say that these guys. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I like to see the Michigan games and Ohio State games. I really do. I like a low-scoring, physical game. Listen, if we look at everything through the eyes, I know Dylan doesn't like them, Kevin doesn't like them. Look at everything through the eyes of a high-scoring, high-flying. To me, that's kind of like boring football for me. I'm old school. I like to see some. Maybe it's more competitive. They're just not as good as the SEC team. But let
me ask you another thing, Barry.
I like the games.
Let me ask you another thing to go off that, because you're saying they played Georgia well last year, right? Okay.
Well, I had a Georgia. I had a Georgia. Coach Price said that he was scared to death.
We can all agree. We can all agree. Ohio State should have won that game last year. Even Georgia fans can agree. Ohio State should have won.
No,
Ryan Day blew the fucking game. He blew it. Instead of continuing to drive the ball down the field on that last drive, he thought he was safe where he was at with a field goal instead of playing to win. He was playing for a field goal. He lost in that game. But my question is, this is where you're talking about the SEC benefiting from playing those better teams. The Big Ten also benefits from not playing those better teams, because let's look at it. Do you think Ohio State or Georgia, which team was healthier going into that game?
I didn't say that. I said
I know you didn't, but I'm saying it could be flipped.
Let me correct you on what I said. I said I think that the SEC benefits from recruiting in the areas where the better players are. That's what I say.
But Ohio State, but that's not a comparison, because Ohio State recruits up there with Alabama and Georgia. They're always in the mix, the top 5 every year. Sometimes they're number 1, but they're always up there. I think they have the second highest recruiting class of all time, and it's been within the past 5 years. I think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they had the top 5. But what I'm saying is they got the recruiting, but when you're playing nobodies all year, you can rest your guys 2 quarters a game almost every damn game, and you get to Georgia, who's had 3 or 4 tight games against, middle of the road SEC teams, and then beats the shit out of these good teams. When you finally get to a team like that, you never know what could happen because Ohio State, like I did, they could have a great game like they did. And Georgia, they could have played like they did. But they also, Georgia, I guarantee you, Georgia was not nowhere near the level of healthy as a team as Ohio State was going into that game. And that's not discrediting any of the coaching that went down. I'm just saying from a physical standpoint. But Ryan Day choked on a fat one. He cost Ohio State that game, and there's no way to cut the pie. But
this should be different this year because there's been a whole lot of cupcake schedules.
Who? Georgia? Yeah, they have. Georgia has.
Well, here's the thing. I'm actually going to give Ryan Day some more credit than anybody else has, and the reason I'll say that is because y'all, or I guess TJ said it. He was offensive coordinator before Urban left. I mean, he did help recruit these guys. I mean, it's not like he just inherited them or came in and then had this big staff. I mean, I have to give Ryan Day a little bit of credit. He's beaten the teams that were put in front of him, and he's beaten everybody but Michigan and Georgia in the last 3 years.
But what
and those are they're 2 top 5 teams in the past 3 years. So I mean, it's not like that's the thing. I do think there is like an overreaction, but
he's not losing to New Mexico State.
I do agree with Urban Meyer saying you can't lose to Michigan. You can't.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And you know what? He should be the last one talking. He should shut his mouth because he lost his job because he was harboring people who do assaulting on folks. He should not say anything because this comes across to me. You know what I mean? If this was in any other capacity, this come across as some low blows by somebody who is jealous and mad because he ruined his opportunity. This is like a man. A man picks up your old chick and everything starts going because she got with a better man. That's what it looks like.
I'll agree there. Urban Meyer is a punk.
Yeah, but y'all got to understand, Urban Meyer's the reason Ryan Day got the job. Urban Meyer told them to hire Ryan Day.
Has nothing to do with this question.
But he's not jealous of Ryan Day. He's the one that got him the fucking job.
That don't matter, Tony.
Well,
listen,
here's the
go ahead, dog.
The thing about Ryan Day that we're missing here, he's done well. I mean, the guy has done his job, and you can say what you want about. Here's the whole thing. You can say what you want about Urban, and you can say what you want about Ryan Day. But the thing is, Urban didn't lose to Michigan. It don't matter. Like, he was a terrible person. There was a lot of stuff swept under the rug, and it's proven. We're not just making allegations here. But he did beat Michigan, and he won a national championship. I think that's the only thing separating these guys.
Yeah, I mean, this game, the Iron Bowl, if you got a head coach that consistently loses to the other, they're gone. I mean, and that's just the fact of the matter. It may not be fair, but the alumni, the donors, they're not going to put up with consistently losing to your biggest rival every single year.
I mean, look at it this way.
We were talking about it at the start of the year. We said he's going to be on the hot seat if he goes undefeated and then loses to Michigan. And I think he's not going to get fired, but there will be people who want his job.
Well,
now we can go ahead and do a preview for next year. If he does it again next year,
he's gone.
But you got to look at it this way. Let's say he loses to him this year, right? Because we're already talking about. You said you think Smith's going to flip. So let's say he loses to Michigan this year. Because, like I said, this is going to be after this year. All of Urban's players are 100% gone from Ohio State after this year. So next year will be his first full time having 100% of his own players at Ohio State,
which they've recruited really well.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Let's say he loses to Michigan. He loses that commit from Smith, and then that recruiting class falls apart. He's losing Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. He doesn't have no superstar coming back at receiver yet that we know of. And Ohio State always produces one. So next year, if he goes into that with a down recruiting class and then he has a bad season not a bad one, because let's face it, he's not going to win less than 8 games in that shit conference. But let's say he has another bad season.
He can't win.
But that's the thing, Barry.
When you're in a conference like that, I get it. The only thing he can do is to beat Michigan. Guys, I get it. You have to finally get over the hump. I'm saying. I know you got to get over the hump at some point.
I mean, we got to think, Barry. Like before Georgia beat Alabama in 2021, like Georgia fans, not Dylan. Say it now. There were Georgia fans literally posting on Facebook after that SEC championship loss that if Kirby could not beat Georgia the next time that they played, they needed to move on from Kirby. Just because,
yeah, those are idiots, right?
I agree, but the same thing is going to happen up north. That's exactly what's going to happen, and they're worse. Them Yankees are worse, way worse.
The one thing though we ain't talking about though, we're talking about what his roster is going to be like. We are in the portal days, and there will be multiple QBs who want to come be QB1 for Ohio State and throw to those.
Yeah.
They're going to be great again next year.
I mean, that's the thing. They're always going to be good, but I do agree with Tony. You have to be better than good at the University of Ohio State.
Yeah,
so if you beat Michigan, what happened? If he beats Michigan and loses in the
he's fine. I mean,
the slate is washed clean, and Ryan Day is there for 5 years.
The expectation
it moves to the next game. It moves to the next game.
Your expectation is to make the playoff in the Big Ten. If you're Michigan or Ohio State, that's the expectation.
Yeah.
A side note on this.
You're basically playing a one-game schedule, Barry. You win one fucking game, and you're going to be in the playoff.
We're talking about, going forward a little bit in the next year. There is apparently, and it's not just rumors at this point, Michigan is being told that, hey, Harbaugh is going to be suspended for the entire season next year. That's the rumors. That's what's being said. And if that happens, he's gone. He's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
He's staying around for that. So then if Michigan falls, Ryan Day's just going to take that next step and just start.
Where's Harbaugh going to go, though? I mean, because the NFL has come out and said
Bobby's daddy.
The NFL come out and said that they're going to honor any suspension that the NCAA gives him next year.
Well, damn, I don't know then.
They did
really. They said
they did say they come out and said that if he gets suspended for 7 games next year and wants to quit, he won't be able to coach for 7 games. Whoever hires him in the NFL.
Well, maybe he'll just go.
I like
Dude,
that.
He's been robbing Michigan for enough money in the past few years. He can retire. We ain't worried about that.
But I think that's BS. I think that I don't know why the NFL would make that decision. I think that's crappy.
I'm sure that could get appealed and get overturned.
Yeah, because how would they got all those unions. I mean, if he's hired by a team, there's nothing. I don't think they'd be able to enforce that. But that's a crazy thing that they said.
You know what's going to happen though? It's going to be sweet when this 12-game playoff continues and this college start competing with the NFL and people in the money start piling up and them players start staying in college a little bit longer. And let's see what the NFL got to say then, because college is trying to compete with the NFL.
I mean, the ball, I will say this, the ball's in the NCAA's court right now. The only thing is the NCAA has got to make better decisions on what they do because they're already trying to get pushed out, Yeah, they want a different government.
Not much longer. I don't think.
So, I mean, but, that's interesting. But let's bring it to one more little subject before we move it on. We've already talked about it. If somehow – because it's getting worse and worse, guys. Every time we do a show, the next day we get a update from ESPN, and it says Michigan linebacker coach fired. Said that he destroyed evidence as soon as he heard about the allegations coming. They're guilty. This is one of the biggest cheating scandals we have ever seen. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a Netflix series. This will be a special. This is going to change how we look at college football. And don't be shocked if next year or the year after there's earpieces in the helmet.
This is the precedence. If they really do what y'all think they'll do to Harbaugh, he's done in college football, in my opinion.
Yes.
Hey, listen to this.
I think they're going to try to make an example out of him. I would not be shocked if you saw not only Michigan suspended from postseason play this year, but Jim Harbaugh banned from college football.
And listen to this too. There's precedent of the NFL doing this. Ohio State and Jim Tressel. If you recall, Terrell Pryor was suspended for 5 games from NCAA. He left, went and got drafted. NFL upheld that suspension. Jim Tressel got fired, whatever. I can't remember if he quit. I think he got fired. But he was also suspended. he got a job immediately with the Colts the very next season, and the Colts couldn't have him on the sidelines for those 5 games at the NCAA.
Oh, damn.
That was the most garbage firing of a legendary head coach in the history of football.
Absolutely.
And he never came back to college football, right?
You fired a legend because his students or his players were using their stipend money to get a fucking tattoo. How was that his fault?
Especially looking back on it from today's rules.
Exactly. You look at it now.
There's no way as a college coach. I understand you being a leader of young men, right? There's no way as a college coach that I can regulate what you're spending your stipend money on. There's no way. I can't have access to all your private life just to know what you're spending it on. So how am I held accountable for that? And then they fire him and they bring in somebody like Urban Meyer. I don't understand. I really don't. And that's another thing I hate Ohio State for, because Tressel was that dude.
Yeah. And don't y'all
I think they had to make an example out of him.
But don't y'all think that Urban should have shut his mouth on this?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I never said
anything. There's only one important thing to Urban, and that's Urban. It's what it's always been. So
yeah, dude, that's like me and KD. We work together, and I get a chance, I take a shot at him. Dude, that's just, man. If I was Ryan Day, I have a problem with that. You know, I mean, I just would. You know.
Yeah, but you know what? Ryan Day's a sissy. He goes after old men instead of calling out somebody like Urban Meyer.
Ryan Day, let's face it, he doesn't have the cash, the cachet at Ohio State to call out a legend like Urban Meyer. I mean, you got to win a national title before you can call out somebody like that, or he's not going to have fans support.
That's fair, but
I don't think he has any business calling him out.
But he also didn't have people on his staff that was doing like the other guy did.
That's very true.
Very true. Barry, I want to say one more thing before we move on to the next slide here. I agree with you. Like, this is actually, I've never said this on the show yet, but this is actually my favorite weekend in all of college football. And it is because of these rivalries. I mean, I love waking up and then watching College Game Day, and then 12 o'clock hits and noon game. It's Michigan and Ohio State. And usually the winner is in the playoff or the Big Ten championship. Like, to me, that's historic stuff, and it's something you look for. I mean, we've talked about it all year, so if we act like we're not excited, we're lying. And then 3:30 comes, it's Alabama Auburn, and then the nightcap,
the last
you get an Iowa State or Oregon State. I mean, to me, this is the best weekend. And then you get a Georgia Tech.
Hey, did I read right that Texas?
I was about to add on to that. What makes it even better? Georgia Tech don't run no damn triple option no more, so I ain't got to worry about
we don't have to prepare for this game.
Nobody getting hurt. I can just sit back and enjoy it.
Did I hear right earlier today that on top of this, Texas plays Texas Tech on Black Friday?
Yeah, that's a Friday game this year. I heard it. That's a Friday game this year. Yeah.
We get to have some early fireworks.
We got a Friday football this year, guys.
What you saying, Tony? What you saying, Tony? What you say about Texas?
Oh, Texas is gonna whoop ass. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Hey, I don't know if y'all remember this.
No, ain't no Texas Tech going over Texas. No, this ain't Pat or this ain't cranberry sauce, cuz. Crabtree ain't coming back to Texas Tech to tightrope the sidelines.
I don't know if y'all remember this, but LSU and Arkansas used to have some wars at 3:30 on Black Friday, and that was like the biggest thing in my childhood I would look for.
What was
I'm like, oh my god,
Battle of the Boot? What is that?
Yeah, it's Battle of the Boot.
I think so. Yes. And then it was like Darren McFadden and
we didn't even talk about
those were unbelievable games.
That was some great. That's some of the best 4-8 football games you'll ever see in your life. That stuff was so good.
Think of those.
Who's the worst team in Mississippi?
Think of that.
I love those Friday games. I don't know.
I love you, Barry.
They had Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis in the same backfield. All three of those guys.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm telling you, I love those Black Friday games. Like, that was something that I love, But
and there's not a better duo in college football than Houston Nutt and Casey Dick.
That's right. Hey, I agree. let's take it to something. We talked about the Michigan-Ohio State game. We'll see what goes on Saturday. But we'll also see on Saturday, this will be the second to last thing where you have your chance to prove who can win the Heisman. And I think, we've all said it for about 5 or 6 weeks now. The perfect scenario is for number 1 and number 2 on this list to go to the Pac-12 championship, the last Pac-12 championship we'll ever see. And the winner wins the Heisman and goes to the playoff. But this is the Heisman Power Rankings. Number 1, Bo Nix. Number 2, Michael Penix Jr. Number 3, Jaden Daniels. Number 4, Carson Beck, moving up on this list. And number 5, somebody who was on number 5 a couple weeks ago and was bumped out of this list and now is back. KD, do you have anything against or for this list?
I like number 1. I know everybody loves Jaden Daniels, and I'm not taking it. He is a super talented guy, but I'm sorry, you can't lose 4 games and win a Heisman. And that's just my opinion. Bo Nix has been the most consistent quarterback all year long. He hasn't done anything all year long to lose the Heisman. Most of his games, he's put up crazy stats. He's super athletic. He's my number 1. I got no issue with Penix at number 2. I think he's probably the 4th best quarterback on this list, to be honest, though. I think Carson Beck, I don't know. I mean, I think he's good enough to maybe warrant being on a Heisman list if the offense, the scheme did him favors. If Georgia ran a Washington scheme, I think Beck could probably have 4,000 yards, and 40 touchdowns. But I don't know, man. The Heisman, I used to think it should go to the best player no matter record, no matter what, but it's just not the way it is. And I think Bo Nix, and you're probably going to have Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, battling out. Marvin Harrison Jr., God love him. He's got a terrible quarterback, but his stats, he's like the 7th or 8th best receiver in any stat this year. I just don't see how you can win it or even be on the list at that point.
We didn't lose 4 games.
Don't
worry, Barry. You're going to, as I said before the season started.
We didn't lose 4 games. And that's
I wouldn't.
The ball that I had, it's starting to glow, and I smell an A&M upset.
That ain't gonna happen. I could put some change in that too if you want to. But listen.
So look, go ahead, Barry.
I had something to say about what you said, Doctor. You said everybody said that would be a perfect scenario. I'm not a part of everybody. Okay, I don't want to see that. I want to see the Tiger rise to the top. I want to see a tighter game, low scoring game. I want to see somebody get beat. I want some mix up for my guy who got the stat. He shouldn't be penalized because somebody put him on old stinking team. He shouldn't be penalized for that. He's doing his job, man. He's the best.
So I actually somewhat agree with you.
Neither should Bryce Young, but you stink on him all the time.
But
I somewhat disagree, Katie, when you say, losing 4 games, you can't win a Heisman. It's been done.
Yeah, it has. I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
And I believe one of those guys that did that, his name was Timothy Tebow.
3 games. So 3 games, not 4, right?
I'm not sure. It was either 3 or 4, but there's also
it's 3 games.
There's also another player that won one with 3 or 4 games that I saw earlier today, and I can't remember. But I think it's possible. He could very well win the Heisman.
Yeah, he could.
But here's what I think too, that a lot of people are not putting into thought. If Carson Beck goes out, he has another great game this weekend, and then somehow dominates Alabama, you don't think he's going to New York?
I hope not. I can't stand looking at the guy with the helmet off. It freaks me out, man.
He needs a helmet on. Like the guy looks like
needs a neck brace to hold his head up.
Well,
the guy looks like a mixture between Beavis and a head of broccoli. He just is ugly.
In 1969,
Just look at the slide we got right here. His head's twice the size of the other ones. His helmet.
In 1969, there was a guy named Paul Hornung. Paul Hornung.
That a baby.
Had 4 losses and won a Heisman Trophy. That was in
that's
1969 is when that happened.
That's when they used to give it to the best player. Now it's not that way. And I look at a guy like Cam Newton. I mean, that dude carried a terrible Auburn team and won a national title. Didn't lose a game. That's what I expect if you're winning a Heisman.
Listen to this, Kevin. That's 3 other guys. Texas Ricky Williams in 1998, Tebow in 2007, and then you got Robert Griffin in 2011 and Jackson.
Robert
and they all won with 3 losses. They won the Heisman.
And then, but yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, man. But Jaden Daniels, let's face it, he's played one good defense all year and got his head smashed in. So,
well, I think the Heisman race is always the craziest one to talk about. Anything's possible here. But I agree with whoever said, we talked about the 8 players above Marvin Harrison. We talked about it pregame.
Yeah.
It's weird even seeing him on this list. And you said Carson Beck had the biggest head on here. That might just be bad editing, but we know his head's big. Okay.
Oh, look at his shoulder pads and Michael Penix's shoulder pads. They're the same size, but that head ain't. That dude's got
like I said,
on.
We know the guy's ugly, but he's not getting paid to look good. He's getting paid to play football.
He's the only player in football that had to get a mold of his head so they can make a custom helmet.
Hey, you better be careful because you got to play him in the SEC championship.
I don't care.
DJ don't got to play him, but Alabama does.
Look, let me tell you something. I don't care if he beats us. I don't care if it beats us by 30. His head ain't going to change sizes. That thing's still going to be a watermelon, and he's still going to look like a praying mantis. Don't care.
Listen, I agree with TJ. Even if he does beat Alabama and he goes to New York, he is going to be the ugliest Heisman finalist. He's going to be like, I can just imagine like a Forrest Gump scene. It's like, hey, son, how do you feel to be an All-American? He's like, I got to pee. He does not belong there.
He is a good dude, man. I love Vic. I think he's a great guy. I'm not going to come against him like y'all. I'm not.
Barry. No, that was talking about a man's appearance. I want you. Speaking of appearance, I want y'all to look, go on his Instagram and tell me what his girlfriend looks like.
Dude, that girl is a hoe. She's a hoe.
And then y'all stop it. You don't listen harder than he is on the field.
Yes, I do. Stop it. There's not a D1 football quarterback in the country that ain't laying with some slut at the college. She's in a sorority, and she's been passed around like a plate of brownies.
BS. That's not true, and I'm not.
No, it's not. No one's with Carson Beck because of his heart. Let me tell you that right now.
That is not true, dude.
Okay, well, look, I know how to look. I've been to UGA. I've seen what them girls do down there, and that girl is going. She ain't going for his heart. She ain't going for his heart.
I don't know nothing about New York, so what you talking about?
I know all about UGA.
Stop it.
Well,
hey,
back to this. Look, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, get to the program.
I'm gonna put us back on track. Jaden Daniels should be winning the Heisman. Just numbers alone, the dude's going in with 4,000 passing yards and like 1,300 rushing yards, which is that's what I did on Road to Glory with a white quarterback at Thundering Herd Marshall. It's crazy. He should win it, but I'm also in the camp of, well, if you're that damn good, I don't care if your defense is the worst in Power 5, find a way to win. It's not his fault, but you still got to win. That's why I think for some reason, I just don't. Michael Penix, I just haven't seen Heisman moments, and I've seen that out of Jaden, and I've seen that out of Bo. So I think Bo's going to end up winning it. But numbers wise, I mean, nobody's touching Jaden.
Bo got
Dylan, I got to disagree.
Both of them got to finish the season with big. They got to finish the season big.
Well,
it's Bo's to lose. It's definitely Bo's to lose.
If Beck plays 15, definitely if he plays 15, but even 14 games, he's going to end the season with 4,000 yards and around 30 touchdowns. So he's going to have the numbers, but Carson doesn't. He hasn't had to have a Heisman moment. He just has to do his job, and he has.
Georgia's offense just isn't sexy. It's not flashy. So, but they do everything well. So
yeah.
Well, you said Penix, is just not, had a Heisman moment. I mean, hey, listen. I don't know why you laugh about his last name. It's Penix.
It's Penix. It's Penix, Dalton, not Penix.
No, it's Penix. It's spelled Penix.
Look, $100 right now.
He ain't.
It says
his name is not Michael Penis, but it is Michael
Penix.
Penix.
Michael Penix. It's Michael Penix.
All right. Well, listen. It don't matter what his damn name is. Okay.
Why?
Because here's the thing. He does have a Heisman moment. And that might be his Heisman moment when they call him Penis on the stage. But here's the thing. He does have a Heisman moment. He beat Oregon under 1 minute. But whoever said it, I'm not sure. Y'all done got me throwed off now talking about this. But anyway, this is the truth of it. It is Bo Nix's to lose, but it is also Bo Nix's to win. And what I mean by that, if he goes in and wins the Pac-12 championship, all he's got to do is win the game and play good. He's going to play good. He's got it. He's going to win it, and you won't hear the word penis on stage.
So this is voted on after the conference championships, right?
Yeah.
No, I think there's
That's right.
I think some votes are turned in before, actually.
Well, either way,
that's bullshit.
If he shows out against Oregon State,
I agree.
But especially if he beats Washington in the rematch, he's won it.
He's got it. It's his.
This is what I think. Like I said, I think
get Marvin Harrison off this list.
I'm throwing his ass off right now, Dylan. Don't worry. I got Jaden Daniels at number 1. I think he's got too much of the national media pushing this for him. Now, don't get me wrong. His play speaks for itself. But also, Brian Kelly is doing everything he can to cover up this shit bag of a season that he's done and trying to make up for it in some way. Oh, I produced a Heisman Trophy winner. Dude, you had this guy up 45 against Georgia State to get these extra stat pattern. If Bo Nix was playing all 4 quarters all season, just like if Tua was that 1 year, Bo Nix would have 70 touchdowns this year in the Pac-12. He would, and I'm not a Bo Nix fan. Dude.
So what is it got to do with anything? We just had a whole argument about how SEC is the best. So what
I'm saying is,
you see this kind of contradiction that we be doing here.
No. But Georgia State's not an SEC, Barry. That's not who I'm.
It don't matter. It don't matter. But you just said you were the one who brought up that depending on the teams that you play, you don't go in as healthy as like the Big Ten team does. That's what you said.
I'm saying, that's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing the playing time.
No, I understand that, but we have played in the SEC all year.
But what does that have to do with the amount of snaps being played? I understand he's playing harder competition, but the three hardest games he's played, he has lost.
Listen, dude, I was mad when they took him out because if they would have left him in just that one last possession, he would have beat Joe Burrow's record. And they took him out. I was pissed about that. To give us in for one possession to do nothing. We could have made history that night.
He should have never been in because look, this is my problem with that, and I experienced this as an Alabama fan at a young age. You do something stupid like that, and then he rips his knee into 3 or 4 pieces. His career's done because you wanted to keep a guy in for your own benefit. Because that's exactly what Mike Shula did to Tyrone Prothro, and it ended his career.
At this point, what does Dayton have to play for?
What do you mean? If he wants to go to the NFL, like I'm not worried about college. Look, right now, this is the thing with him and the Heisman. I think he's number 1. Do I think he should be? No. I think Bo Nix should be. He's number 1 because the national media is pushing all these stats, but also the reason he's getting these stats is because he's playing every minute of the game. If Bo Nix was playing every minute of the game, he would have more passing yards, more touchdowns than Jaden Daniels. And we can look at the competition play. I'm not disagreeing there. But the 3 good teams he has played, the 3 best teams Jaden Daniels has played, he has lost. I don't care how good he played, how bad
Not
he
because
played.
of him.
He's the reason they went down 14 against Alabama. He threw the interception. That's on him.
Was Bo the reason why they lost to Washington?
I said he was. Y'all said he wasn't. I said he was. I said he choked. That's my opinion. Just like Jaden Daniels against Ole Miss. He didn't score those 2 drives, and then Ole Miss went up, and then he scored a couple more times. And at the end, he had a chance again. That was a Heisman moment. He didn't do it.
You just hate.
Anyways, let me finish.
Hey, Barry. He likes to say quarterbacks choke. Ask him what Bryce Young did in the Natty. He ain't gonna say it. He ain't even gonna say it.
No, he won't. He won't. Right, exactly.
It's not
That's
the
why I
same
say
Down one score with a drive.
Got nothing to do with it. So you're comparing Jaden Daniels, who had every weapon on his team the whole time, choking against every good team he's played, versus Bryce Young being down 8 points on the last possession with true freshman at receiver, losing 2 1,000-yard receivers, and not leading the game with time.
Alabama got.
Dude, stop it. Anyway, let me finish my list. Like I said, Jaden Daniels, number 1. Bo Nix is number 2. Get Marvin Harrison the hell away from my list. He ain't even the best receiver in the country. He's not even the top 2 receiver in the country.
Oh, you're crazy.
No, he's not. I'm taking Buddy from Florida State, and Malik Neighbors is the best receiver in college football. I don't care what anyone says. Malik Neighbors is the best. He should be on this list. Hold on.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
Hold on.
32 GMs and NFL head coaches that tell you Marvin Harrison's number 1.
And I'll guarantee you, and I'll bet you whatever right now, we can get it recorded. Barry, you can put the cash up on, but I'll send the money right now. I'll bet $100 that Malik Neighbors will be better than Marvin Harrison ever thought about being in the NFL.
Woo. Yeah. Okay. Look what happened last year.
Hey, look, I said the table. I'd send the money to Barry right now.
We're gonna have to hold that bet for a while.
Anyways, listen.
You can't bet that. I mean,
Malik Neighbors is almost into Devontae Smith territory right now, stats wise.
Who went off last year for LSU? Keyshawn Booty. What the hell has he done?
What do you mean? He's an idiot.
What if Malik Neighbors goes to some team with Joe Montana as a quarterback and Marvin Harrison Jr. has Justin Fields as a quarterback? You can't base NFL off of that.
Keyshawn Boot is nowhere near the caliber Neighbors was. He's smaller. He's not. Dude, Keyshawn Boot he was having gangbangs with his coaches. That guy ain't worried about football.
Neighbors' parents couldn't he spell his last name correct? He's not going to be the best.
Dude, stop it. He has 1,400 yards and like 15
Neighbors is great, dude. Come on,
and he's only a sophomore.
Because Brian Kelly stat pads him. Neighbors plays every second of them games just like his quarterback does.
Jaden Daniels also. Hold on. Jaden Daniels doesn't just throw to him though; he throws to the other guy too, number 11. Like I hate Jaden. I don't hate Jaden. I hate LSU.
Yeah, you know, he told the truth. He told the truth. We had 3 receivers. Guess what they do? Over 100. Come on, what are you talking about?
Dude, Neighbors is only a sophomore. I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't know.
All I know is we got Tony so turned. He's taking up for Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman and Neighbors at this point.
No, I'm not taking up for him to win the Heisman.
No, what he's not taking up. He's making excuses of why Jaden is going to win it.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that freaking Neighbors should be on this list.
That's true. They said that the other night that Neighbors should be on this list.
It's been over an hour and a half. I don't hear it. Anyway, Carson Beck could be at 5 still. I don't think he should be on it, but there's not many other choices on top of it. I think the winner of that SEC championship game, I honestly think if Milroe keeps playing how he's playing and he beats Beck, I think Milroe will be in New York. He has no chance of winning it, but I think he'll be a guy just like if Beck wins it, I think Beck will be there.
Nah, I don't think
Zero
so.
shot Milroe's there.
So you're telling me if Milroe has over 40 total touctouchdowns and beats Georgia, he's not going to New York?
No, he'll have 2,500 passing yards.
Do what?
He'll be under 3,000 total yards.
Okay, so was freaking.
You can't win that. You can't go to New York under 3,000 yards.
Yes, you can. Stetson Bennett went with 21 passing touchdowns last year. He was ass.
We're talking about yards.
Playoffs.
He had 4,000 yards.
If you have 40 total touchdowns and you beat the number 1 team in the country, okay, let's make the bet. I guarantee you right now, if Milroe, let's bet.
That's so skewed though. Your running backs have about 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Throw the stats away. Let's bet right now. Let's bet right now. If Milroe beats Georgia, he will be in New York.
Okay, bet.
Oh, I bet
whatever
you that
want.
he ain't gonna be in
Bet
there.
whatever you
If
want.
he beat, yes, he will. He'll be one of the guys in New York.
That
I
ain't
promise you.
That ain't happening.
Your
If he
top
beats
three
Georgia-
will be the three, buddy.
It ain't happening, baby. That ain't happening. Save your
Okay.
money.
Okay, we'll see.
Listen, I'll be honest with you.
Play that scenario. They'd put in Milroe over Jaden Daniels, who has over 5,000 yards.
No, Daniels is going to be there. Daniels and Nix are going to be there.
Okay, Michael Penix will have 4,500 plus yards. Bo Nix will have 4,500 plus yards.
He won't have a win over Georgia.
There's a better chance of the Applejacks man being in New York than Jalen Milroe.
You realize Milroe's like 7th on the odds right now, right? Like if you go look at the live odds, he's 7th on the list right now.
What are you looking at? This at Alabama Chronicles?
Hey,
Go to Heisman
many-
odds on anything.
how many of these finalists right here been benched this year?
That's true. They benched him for South Florida too.
He got suspended. It's just never came out. He's just suspended.
Yeah, it's always something.
Well, listen, we was going to do one more slide, but I don't think we can top anything on that debate right there. So we're going to call it a night.
Yes, sir.
But this has been the Chop and Block podcast, and it is always a pleasure to have you on TikTok or YouTube. What a show it was, but let's be honest. We're going to have a little bit of a break, a turkey break, whatever you want to call it, Thanksgiving. We got football on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're going to have a busy week next week at the Chop and Block. We're going to be like those little elves getting ready for Christmas. So next week is championship week, and we'll be right back here on Tuesday for This Week in College Football, and there'll be one thing to talk about no matter what happens this week, and it's going to be Oregon-Washington, or maybe Washington, Oregon State, and Alabama, Georgia. So we will see what happens.
Y'all Georgia boys better be here.
Oh, we're going to be here. We'll be celebrating the most wins of all time consecutively in the SEC history.
That is a great point to end this show on. Kirby Smart passing the two-time record holders in Alabama Crimson Tide, now with 29 consecutive wins. Doing it on the Iron Bowl week, you can't get any better than that. It's beautiful.
No one cares if you don't win the Natty.
It's beautiful.
The only thing, I tell you what, the only thing that's going to make that even better is topping it off with some pumpkin pie. And this has been the Chop and Block podcast. We'll see you next week. Dylan, send us home.
Hey, shout out Craig, War Eagle. Don't spin that shit.
Yeah, we about to do it. Watch us get into it. We some number